Guys, you probably don't even realize it, but women are observing everything. Not just the words that leave your mouth, but the rhythm of your movements, where your eyes wander, the tension that lingers in your shoulders, and even those subtle gestures you make without a second thought. What might surprise you is that some of these tiny, seemingly meaningless actions aren't just noticed, they're magnetic. They bypass logic, cutting straight into emotion, striking a chord that speaks to something deep, primal, and wordless inside her. These gestures don't shout. They whisper confidence, composure, and depth. They're the little things that make a woman lean in, drawn by something she can't quite name, and think, what is it about this man? This. Most men spend their entire lives trying to impress with what's loud. Grand gestures, flashy clothes, expensive cars, or smooth lines. But the truth is, what truly captivates isn't the noise. It's the quiet energy, the calm steadiness, the mastery of presence that doesn't need to prove anything because it simply is. That's what makes a man unforgettable. And today, we're diving deep into 9 subtle, often unnoticed gestures that awaken something powerful in women. Once you understand them, you'll move differently. You'll speak with purpose. You'll command attention without effort. You'll no longer need to perform. You'll simply embody presence. Number 9, the slow head tilt. Something I like to call the presence anchor. You'd never think such a small motion could hold so much power, but it does. When a man slowly tilts his head, especially while listening, it sends a subconscious wave of safety and curiosity. It's not just, I hear you, it's, I'm with you. That subtle shift communicates emotional openness, a kind of unspoken trust that softens the air between you. Psychologically, this gesture is rooted deep within us. It echoes the way infants tilt their heads when seeking connection or safety. That motion triggers what neuroscientists call the caregiver response, a built-in emotional reflex that makes us feel seen, protected, and connected. What's fascinating is how this one movement carries layers of meaning. It doesn't only say you're listening, it shows that you're absorbing, interpreting, and feeling what's being said. It's a rapport gesture, something body language experts identify as key in creating emotional safety. When done naturally, it lowers her guard. She feels invited to open up more, to share more, to lean into the energy you're giving off. In a world full of people who listen just to reply, a man who listens to understand is rare. That rarity becomes irresistible. So, next time she's speaking, don't rush to nod or interrupt. Let your body lean into the silence. Let your head tilt gently as if the world just slowed down. Presence is rare, and that's exactly why it's magnetic. Now, number 8, the one eyebrow raise, or as some call it, the micro challenge. This one is pure chemistry. It's that fleeting lift of a single brow when she says something bold or teasing. You're not just reacting, you're creating playful friction. That tiny spark of movement communicates, oh, really? You're going there? Without uttering a single word. And that right there is the language of intrigue. It's confidence without arrogance, curiosity without eagerness. It tells her you're not falling for every word, that she might have to work just a little harder for your full attention, and that's intoxicating. Body language experts refer to this as a micro-challenge because it blends skepticism with flirtation. It's not dismissive, it's engaging, it's fun. It makes the conversation feel alive. A high-value woman finds this irresistible because it suggests emotional depth. A man who's confident enough not to instantly agree, yet secure enough to stay connected. It creates what Robert Greene describes as strategic tension, that push and pull that keeps attraction burning. but timing matters. Do it too often or without nuance, and you'll look comical instead of confident. The key is subtlety. Pair that eyebrow raise with a faint smirk or a brief pause. Let it breathe. Let the silence say what words can't. That's when you master the art of unspoken flirtation. Number 7, the calm lean, what I call the intimacy gateway. This might look simple, but it's one of the most primal gestures you can use. It's the slow, intentional movement of your body, leaning in just enough to bridge the emotional distance. It's not aggressive or eager, it's controlled gravity. When done right, it feels like time slows down and everything else fades into the background. That lean signals connection. Real, grounded, wordless connection. Neuroscience tells us this moment can actually release oxytocin, the bonding hormone that helps us feel emotionally safe and connected. But here's where most men go wrong. They lean too soon or too far, trying to force a connection that hasn't been built yet. That's when the moment collapses. When you invade space before it's earned, it activates her fight or flight response. But when you lean in slowly, naturally after rapport has already begun, it feels different. It feels safe. It feels right. Experts say the sweet spot is about 2 inches closer than normal once she's already engaged. That's enough to create what's known as a pocket of intimacy. It's like an invisible barrier forms around you too, shutting out the world for a second. In that pocket, she feels chosen, special, seen, and she won't forget it. Number 6, the jaw or chin touch, also called the silent thinker signal. You've probably done this unconsciously, resting your hand on your chin or running your fingers along your jaw while deep in thought. What you may not realize is that this small act speaks volumes. There's something deeply attractive about a man who appears lost in contemplation, unhurried, confident in silence. That subtle touch of the face draws attention to the jawline, one of the strongest visual indicators of testosterone. Evolutionarily, that's a symbol of strength, protection, and masculinity. From a subconscious level, when your hand moves along your jaw, it's like you're amplifying that masculine energy without trying. It's not about vanity, it's about presence. It says you're thoughtful, grounded, and not afraid of stillness. Christopher Canwell in Atomic Attraction notes that men who display self-assured reflective gestures project a sense of calm control that women find magnetic. When you touch your face thoughtfully while maintaining eye contact, it pulls her in. She feels like she's witnessing a moment of internal reflection, a peek into your private thoughts. That mystery, that pause, becomes emotional foreplay. So, next time your hand drifts to your chin mid-conversation, don't fight it. Let it linger. Let the silence carry weight. Because sometimes the most powerful statement is made in the space between words. And now number 5, the pause before speaking, also known as the alphabet. This one might sound minor, but it's one of the most commanding moves you can master. Most men rush to fill silence, terrified of awkwardness. But that moment of stillness before you speak, it's electric. It radiates composure. It communicates patience, confidence, and control. That half-second delay tells the world that you're not chasing approval, that you value your thoughts enough to let them form before they fall. And that kind of restraint, it's powerful. Research from UCLA shows that people who pause before responding are consistently perceived as more intelligent, more trustworthy, and more emotionally mature. But it's not just about perception. Psychologically, that pause changes the rhythm of the exchange. It creates what's called anticipation tension. She starts leaning in, waiting for your words, feeling their weight before they even arrive. That small beat of silence draws her into your tempo, your pace. It's the same principle casinos use when they delay the result of a slot machine. The anticipation intensifies the emotional impact. When you use silence strategically, you shift the dynamic. You become the calm in the storm, the still center in a noisy world. Every word you speak after that pause lands with gravity because it carries intention. It's not rushed, it's not careless, it's deliberate. And women feel that difference instantly. So remember this, presence is not about trying harder. It's about slowing down enough to let the moment speak. It's in the small movements, the micro expressions, the pauses between breaths. Because in the end, what draws her in isn't performance. It's poise. It's the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need to chase energy because he is the energy. Now, imagine pairing that pause with a subtle hand movement. Maybe briefly opening your palms or touching your fingertips together. That combination is pure alpha communication. It radiates calm dominance. It tells everyone watching, I'm not here to react. I'm here to respond with purpose. That's the kind of energy that can quiet a room before you even speak. It's the same energy that lingers long after you've walked away, leaving a woman curious and intrigued about who you really are. Picture this. You're speaking, expressing your thoughts, and as you make your point, your fingertips come together lightly, forming a small steeple. That's not random. That's the hand steeple, the silent power move. This gesture is one of the most subtle yet commanding displays of confidence. It's body language mastery most men don't even realize they're capable of. The steeple is powerful because it takes up space without threat, channels stillness instead of nervous energy, and slows your rhythm so your words carry weight. This isn't a fidget or a reflex. It's deliberate control, a gesture of quiet authority. You'll notice CEOs in high-stakes negotiations using it, politicians during crucial interviews, and charismatic men during deep magnetic conversations. When you use the steeple as you speak, especially during an important statement, you immediately project composure. Your voice sounds more grounded, your ideas appear more deliberate, and your presence becomes impossible to ignore. Women subconsciously read that as leadership, self-assurance, and depth. There's also something symbolic about the gesture. It subtly resembles prayer, a shape that communicates reflection, self-awareness, and mystery. And mystery, Amelia, is pure attraction fuel. It sparks curiosity because we instinctively associate thoughtfulness with intelligence and emotional safety. Evolutionarily speaking, women have been drawn to men who appear calm under pressure, those capable of thinking clearly in chaos, protecting, solving, and leading. That single steeple tells her that your mind is steady, that you think before you act. But here's the catch. Never use the reverse steeple, the one where your fingers point downward. That comes across as arrogant or calculating, almost villainous. Instead, keep it classic. Fingertips lightly pressed, elbows loose, shoulders relaxed. Speak slowly. Let your presence breathe. That stillness says everything you need it to. It communicates, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it. Now, let's talk about a move that's almost cinematic. The shoulder shrug plus smirk combo. This tiny pair of gestures is flirtation distilled into a single frame. Think of that brief, casual lift of one shoulder combined with a small, knowing smirk. It's pure chemistry. That simple movement says it's not a big deal. While the smirk adds, or maybe it is. This blend of contradiction is what makes it so irresistible. It's the physical embodiment of playful confidence. Relaxed but self-aware, detached yet deeply engaging. Psychologists refer to this as creating flirt tension, a perfect balance between approach and retreat. The shrug communicates calmness, that you're comfortable and not over-invested, while the smirk hints at intrigue. Together, they form a push-pull dynamic that sparks curiosity and attraction. According to Dominic Mann, author of Flirt Like a Pro, this contrast is what makes interaction feel like a dance instead of an interrogation. Too much effort and you seem desperate. Too little and you seem disinterested. But this gesture sits perfectly between the two. Effortless but charged with intention. Important note, never double shrug. Two shoulders going up reads as uncertainty or dismissal. The magic is in the asymmetry. One shoulder, one smirk. It's playful, not defensive. Even if she doesn't react instantly, she registers it. It lingers in her mind because it made her feel something spontaneous, light, and alive. That's the kind of impression that makes her remember your energy more than your words. Now, imagine this next one, the eye contact and half-smile combo. This is elite level communication. You're across the room, eyes meet hers. You hold the gaze for just a second longer than normal. Not enough to make it awkward, just long enough to make it intentional. Then you add the half-smile. Not a grin, not a smirk, but a quiet, knowing curve of the lips. It's the universal language of we both know something the world doesn't. That simple exchange can stop time. Facial coding experts call it a controlled emotional display. It conveys warmth, confidence, and intrigue without full vulnerability. According to Dr. Helen Pfizer, one of the leading neuroscientists in the study of human attraction, this kind of eye contact paired with a restrained smile can trigger the release of phenethylamine, a natural chemical associated with the rush of falling in love. It's literally a biological spark. But the secret lies in the delivery. It only works if it feels exclusive, like a private moment shared between just the two of you. The gaze says, "I see you," while the half-smile says, "And I'm not telling anyone else what I see." That combination weaves an unspoken story, one layered with mystery and intimacy. It pulls her into your emotional orbit. Suddenly, she's not just intrigued, she's invested. She'll find herself thinking about that look hours later, wondering why it felt so personal. That's when attraction becomes obsession. And now, the grand finale, the space-claiming gesture, the embodiment of unshakable presence. Have you ever noticed how some men walk into a room and everyone just senses their energy? Heads turn not because of appearance, but because of how they occupy space. That's the power of physical presence. It's primal. When a man casually places a hand on the back of a chair, rests an arm over a booth, or stands with a grounded, balanced stance, he's communicating comfort and control without saying a single word. These are what experts call territorial displays. They're signals of inner security, not external showmanship. When you claim space naturally, it broadcasts non-neediness. It tells the world you're not here to impress. You're here to exist authentically. Psychologists call this the high-status perception bias. The mind instinctively assumes that someone who takes up space comfortably must have power, confidence, or authority. It's ancient wiring. Back in tribal times, leaders were the ones who didn't shrink in chaos. They grounded themselves and drew others in. In modern life, this translates to the man who owns his environment effortlessly. He walks slowly, gestures sparingly, moves with deliberation. He doesn't seek attention. He draws it, and when he speaks, others instinctively listen. A man like that doesn't have to prove anything. His stillness becomes his loudest statement. Stillness, in fact, is one of the most underrated forms of masculine power. The less you fidget, the less you over-gesture, the more magnetic you become. You want her to lean in, to wonder what's behind that calm. You want your presence to speak before your mouth ever does. So, own your space. Breathe slower. Move with intention. Let your body quietly declare, I belong here. Because once you truly believe that, everyone around you will too. Here's the truth. None of these gestures are about manipulation or acting. They're not tricks. They're reflections of awareness. They work because they're grounded in authenticity. They communicate something beyond words, a calm certainty, a magnetic steadiness that women can feel. When you embody these small but powerful signals, you don't just attract. You command attention in a way that feels natural, effortless, and unforgettable. So, the real question is, which of these gestures do you already use without realizing it? And which ones can you begin to practice consciously, not to fake confidence, but to become more aware of how your presence speaks long before your words ever do? Because in the end, attraction isn't about performance. It's about presence.